Fellas, this week we are going back to Hyakuyaku for a fashion show, as we are accompanying the Ninjutsu Research Club in the new event, an Unconcealed Path episode fashion show security duty, with DressTsukuyo and Michiru as the new 3-star units. No Dress Nin though, sadly. So without further ado, here is a short review of our two beautiful Hyakuyaku wives. Starting with the Ninjutsu Club's tallest member and introverted shy tree, who looks absolutely stunning in her new Japanese theme dress, it is none other than DressTsukuyo. Good golly gumdrops, fellas, I know she has a height complex, but I love me my tall women. And paired with that beautiful fancy dress, her new elegant hairstyle and her giant mommy milkers, god, I wanna get stuck between the wall with her again. Whoa! So, what kind of student is she? Well, she is a permanent yellow tank with red armor, whose terrain moods are as follows: D combat power in urban terrains, S combat power in field, and B combat power indoors. She also uses shoes, badge and necklace for her equipment, with all three helping to boost her survivability. Now let's talk about her kit. DressTsukuyo is primarily a damn durable tank, having a ton of HP as well as being an evasion tank, possessing the second highest evasion in the game. Plus her equipment is also a big help, and her skills give her a bunch of additional survivability effects, further improving her durability. Looking at her skills, firstly, with a max level 4 cost EX, DressTsukuyo repositions herself to a targeted location, granting herself a cover and gaining the covered status for 40 seconds, with this cover inheriting 40.2% of her max HP and her armor type. Plus she also increases her attack speed by 43.3% for 30 seconds. As you can see, DressTsukuyo is the second student in the game after Toshino, who can repull herself before creating a portable cover over her body, which is pretty sturdy seeing as it gains nearly half of Tsukuyo's max HP, which again is already quite high. Not only that, seeing as the cover also shares her red armor, you will likely use her and Toshino in different situations, as the latter has yellow armor. Not to mention, Hoshino can provide utility in the form of single target defense down, while DressTsukuyo can survive for longer. Also, hers and Hoshino's covers are not shields, even though they look like one. It doesn't have a blue health bar, and you can even stack a cover and a normal barrier if you want to. Plus her cover has a chance of blocking and nullifying incoming attacks, with the cover receiving the damage. You can actually keep track of its HP as indicated by this icon next to her health bar. But again, the cover only has a chance of blocking attacks, except those that ignore cover obviously, and if it doesn't, Tsukuyo can still get hurt, so she isn't exactly invulnerable in this state. Other than that, her repositioning ability is strong too, especially since her travel distance is the longest in the game alongside Aoba, at a whole 8 meters, allowing her to effectively move across the battlefield to block attacks and protect your students. Meanwhile, the decent attack speed buff she gains from this skill isn't the most important, as her role isn't to do damage. Moving on, DressTsukuyo's level 10 basic skill provides her with a shield whose HP is equal to 519% of her healing whenever her HP goes below 40%, activating once per battle. This shield is fairly durable too, and it can further boost her survivability. However, its 30-second timer and the once per battle activation isn't a great combination because it has a limited use and duration, but it is nevertheless a nice extra survivability ability, and it becomes even more useful since it is linked with her sub skill. Speaking of, her sub grants her the ninja walking buff whenever she has a barrier, with this buff continuously restoring her HP equal to 36.8% of her healing every 4 seconds at max level. This buff is useful because not only does it help to keep her alive, especially since her barrier activates when she is only at 40% health, but it also doesn't just apply to her basics barrier, it's any shield, even those applied by other units, which improves her survivability, particularly in content that calls for shielders/teams that have powerful shielders. Next, her enhance and enhance skill plus both boost her max HP, making her a more effective tank. UE50 upgrades her field combat power from S to SS, and UE60 grants her an additional 10% piercing effectiveness, both of which are needed since they only really improve her damage, though the former can up her cover's block rate to around 75%, but again, it isn't important. Overall, DressTsukuyo is a strong durable tank who has a ton of survivability thanks to her various skills, as well as a very high HP and evasion. So where can DressTsukuyo be used in? Well, even though she is a sturdy red armored tank, she sadly hasn't seen a lot of use in much content, as Toshino is vastly preferred by many senseis despite their differing armor types, since Unlocked and Oji-san can contribute to the team's firepower with her sub-skills defense debuff plus Plus, a lot of people already have her as she is a fast student, which is why even against bosses like Shirokuro, where DressTsukuyo has an advantage in since she can resist their yellow attacks, Amdoshino currently still sees more usage. But regardless, DressTsukuyo has been utilized a little in this raid, and you can bring her into your team for phase 1, especially if you don't have Amdoshino / you require an extra team for Torment or Lunatic, as she'll be able to effectively deflect Shiro's giant snowballs. Aside from that, there unfortunately isn't a lot of content that requires cover students either, with the only other one being Chokma. While you can use her against this boss to block some of his attacks, Amdoshino is still the better option as she takes less damage from his mystic attacks, plus your striker slots will be filled with other roles. So you'd probably use another cover unit over her instead, like Sensei Kirino, who can also provide more utility in the form of attack buffs, though you might be able to bring DressTsukuyo if you need to on the lower floors. Other than those, she has also been used a small amount in both Bina and Kaiten Phase 2, acting purely as a tank to protect your students. And finally, she can also technically substitute Aoba in Tifaref, as they have the same EX movement range, making her an efficient suicide bomber by resisting his yellow attacks and withstanding his powerful attacks with a cover, barrier, and high HP / evasion, all while dealing with the course mechanics. But she is more of a premium option, and using Aoba is still perfectly viable. Or you can also use DressTsukuyo for defensive joint firing drills to move to the edge of the battlefield. So all in all, should you pull for DressTsukuyo? Well, in my opinion, if you want an additional cover unit in your roster, perhaps because you want to take on Torment or Lunatic Shirokuro, or you want to use her over Aoba and Tifaref, or you simply want a good, durable, high HP tank to use in various content, then sure, go ahead and pull for her. However, I also personally feel you should skip her, cause not only is the 5th anniversary looming closer, but also because Amdoshino's banner will be returning during that time. So while their different armors mean they're used in different situations, Amdoshino is kind of a bigger priority as she is used in more content due to her second damage dealer mode. Not to mention, Fox Platoon is not long after the 5th Annie. And seeing how badly my 5th Fest and Fox Platoon pulls went, yeah, I'd encourage anyone to save their Pyroxenes. Plus, even if you wanted to pull during the upcoming update, Michiru would be a better choice as she is an extremely useful unit. But if you're one of the few Tsukuyo bros and you've been waiting for a while for her ult, then go ahead and pull for her. Now we move on to the Ninjutsu Club's president and aspiring YouTuber with an adorable voice who looks super duper absolutely cute in her new white dress. Personally, I prefer her new outfit over her regulars. It is Michiru. God damn, her white dress is such a simple design, yet combine it with that hat and her shy adorable expressions make her look so damn cute and irresistible. I can't believe we are getting married to her in her L2D. She's so damn cute. Oh, let's get married and start our own ninja village with our babies, Michiru. Oh! So what kind of student is Michiru? She is a permanent special explosive healer who has D combat power in urban terrains, B combat power in field, and S combat power indoors. She also wears shoes, pin, and necklace for her equipment, with the necklace upping her healing capabilities. It's time to discuss about her skills. To start, Michiru has a very cheap 2-cost EX, allowing her to heal one ally with a 290% healing multiplier. As you can tell, it's pretty much the same EX as Swimsuit Atsuko's, and it is a simple one. She basically heals one ally by a fair amount thanks to her decent multiplier, all for the low cost of 2, making her a good special single target healer. Next, part of her main appeal lies in the various utilities in the rest of her kit. Beginning with a basic skill, when the battle starts, she increases all allies' attack except herself by 21.5% for 60 seconds, while cutting their EX cost by 1 for their next EX use, with it activating only once per battle. This skill is very similar to Swimsuit Shiroko's, except that she provides an attack buff to your entire team excluding herself, with this buff being much more useful compared to Iwak's crit buff, despite its somewhat low multiplier, though 21.5% is normal for a basic skill. Plus, it can stack with other attack buffs from EX and sub skills as well. Her cost reduction is extremely useful too, cause it slightly relieves a bit of cost burden at the start of battle, which can be especially handy in shorter content like speedruns and PvP, though it is still helpful in literally almost every other situation. However, note that hers and Swimsuit Shiroko's cost reductions technically do not stack, though the former will cut Shiroko's EX cost and vice versa, but you won't be using them in the same team anyways. Meanwhile, Michiru's sub-skill is the usual relatively rare yet valuable cost recovery increase sub-skill, passively improving your entire team's cost recovery by 20.2%. She is currently the 6th unit in the game who has this particular sub-skill, automatically making her a better unit in general as she allows your cause meter to regen much faster, and while you cannot combine hers with those who have the exact same sub-skill, you can stack it with a few other units cause recovery buffs. Moving on, both her Enhance and Enhance Skill Plus at UE40 boost her healing, with the latter being needed on harder content since her health restoration abilities vastly improve. Her indoor combat power converts from S to SS at UE50, while her maximum cost is increased by 0.5 at UE60, both of which are needed cause they don't really benefit her, plus it's such a high investment of Alephs and Parox. Overall, Michiru is a strong single target healer who is a mix of Sensei Shiroko and Sensei Atsuko, having good heals as well as a ton of useful utilities in the form of a decent attack buff, cost reduction, and cost recovery boost. Now, where can Michiru be used in? Well, she has actually seen quite a lot of use since her release, being brought into a ton of content as her entire kit makes her flexible. Firstly, thanks to her basics cost reduction, she is an excellent unit for shorter battles such as in PvP, where she has become a pretty meta unit in. Cause like Sensei Shiroko, the -1 cost she gives to all your students at the start of battle can help to give your team an advantage as they can proc their EXs quicker, allowing you to attack first and potentially win the battle, though you still need proper build units and RNG on your side. I'm not the most knowledgeable / interested in PvP, so I don't know what are the good team comps etc, but I have seen quite a number of JP players replace Sensei Shiroko with Michiru since the latter has a cheaper EX that can heal / save one of your students, with some senseis even pairing her with Magical Racer, and her attack buff is better for DPS oriented teams. Other than PvP, she is also good for raid speedruns, particularly on the lower difficulties, cause her boosted cost recovery and cost cutting can help your team to quickly defeat the boss, earning a higher score, becoming a good replacement for Sensei Shiroko, cause her attack buff can also contribute to more firepower compared to Ewok's crit buff. You can also definitely use her in your regular content like mission, commission, bounty stages etc to clear them quicker / for a nice survivability option if needed, or in joint firing drills like the ones with the Scarecrow you need to heal, or simply for faster clears in any JFD stage. Moving on, in terms of actual raids she is useful in, Michiru can and has been utilized in literally almost all of them regardless of difficulty, thanks to her heals, cost recovery and cost reduction, as well as a cheap 2-cost EX which you can easily cycle through, whether it's for the main formation or for one of your teams like on Torment / Lunatic. For instance, in Shirokuro, simply for the cost boost despite the raid's recovery boost decrease mechanic, Wakamo Hovercraft to either heal your tank / Mika in phase 1 when Wakamo launches her petal attack, or in phase 2 to restore your units / the turret's HP, in Bina 2, Pararodzilla as well, plus also in Gauss, again in spite of the raid's decreased recovery boost. For Hieronymus, while you can technically use her to heal the urn, you're better off using a more potent pure single target healer like Kokona or Idomari, and relying on Sensei Shiroko to destroy the purple urn if yours is strong enough. But she is still usable in this raid. There are also other raids that she could be used in even though they haven't returned since her implementation, such as Cheese, Kaiten, Horde, Gebura, where attack buff can affect your special students for a bit, though unlike Sensei Shiroko she can't destroy the ice pillar, and potentially Kurokage / Gregorius. So overall, should you pull for Michiru? Well, I personally feel you can, especially if you like PvP and want to do well in it, or if you want to do more raid speedruns, or if you simply want a good single target healer in your roster for extra survivability / another cost recovery sub plus cost reduction basic unit, maybe because you don't have Sensei Shiroko or you need an additional one for one of your teams. However, while she is a great and useful unit, you don't exactly need her, especially if you're not a PvP / speedrun enthusiast, or you already have Sensei Shiroko and are comfortable with just using her, in which case you may skip her and save your Parksins for the 5th anniversary students and Fox Platoon, or pull for DressTsukuyo for whatever reason you may have. But if you have an expiring GA 10-pull ticket and you're itching to do a 10-pull for her, or if she is your waifu and you want to get married to her in her L2D, then go ahead and pull for her. And that's all for this week's review. Let me know who you're pulling for if you are, good luck with your pulls, and I'll see y'all in the next one.